Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day. A pod a day. 340 something else. 54, I think. Another day, another pod, another film. Today's film I hate with a passion. I have referenced this film a couple times when talking about how I rank films and sort of what my low point is. And out of recent films I've seen, like in the past 5 years, this one's probably in my bottom 3, 2, 1. It's Thor, Love and Thunder. I don't like it. I feel thunderous watching it. I've seen it once. I don't need to see it again. I don't wish to see it again. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Actually, I would. It's not that much of a punishment. It's just sitting through a film. Sorry, it's just sitting through a film that's a couple hours. But as you know, the whole gist here is I got awful taste. I got bad taste. I recommend a film that I hate because therefore you might like it. Today's film is Thor, Love and Thunder, directed by Taika Waititi. 2022. The one is not the only. The Chris Hemsworth is not the only. The Natalie Portman is here too. And the synopsis, I hope that's the right word. I still haven't checked. I think synopsis is the right word. After his retirement is Love that! Retupted. Oh, man, I can read. I can read very well. You know what's crazy though? This synopsis is about the only reading I do each day. Outside of Twitter, which is probably bad. You should probably read books and stuff. Yeah, that's just, don't know why I'm shitting on myself. After his retirement is interrupted by Gore the God Butcher, a galactic killer who seeks the extinction of the gods, Thor enlists the help of King Valkyrie, Korg, and an ex-girlfriend, Jane Foster, who now inexplicably wields Mjolnir. I love how that's written in like the synopsis. That sounds like how it'd be written in like a bad review of the film. Like, and Jane the Foster, who now inexplicably wields, like someone who's angry about it, like, oh, we just want Jane to lift it now. Weird choice of words from like the film's own choice of words. But yeah, Jane Foster, who now inexplicably wields Mjolnir as the mighty Thor. Together, they embark on a harrowing cosmic adventure to uncover the mystery of the God Butcher's vengeance and stop him before it's too late, right? Embark on a harrowing is a weird word they've used there as well. Cosmic adventure. I wouldn't say it was harrowing at all. Maybe some of the themes are like things that happen in the movie, if you worded it. Like, we're going to catch a bunch of children and we're going to leave them in a cage and he's this bald-headed guy and he stabs people through the neck. Like, there's probably things in there that you could word in a way that sounded harrowing. Nothing about this film on the watching experience is harrowing in any way. But, directed by Taika Waititi. Let's look at some of his other films here. I gave this film a 1 star out of 5, which, as I always say, the great thing about Letterboxd is you can see what the natural other rating is, and a 2.5, so not incredibly high. I wouldn't say it's my worst take ever out of the ones we've had so far, but I'm surprised it's even that high. Although I listen to some podcasts, and sometimes you want to listen to a podcast that is just agreeing with you. Like, sometimes you're in the mood, you're like, I want varying opinions, I want to hear someone else's take on this. And sometimes you watch something, and it's usually the case if you watch something that you really loved, or you really hated, and you're like, I just want to feel validated, I just want to hear people make fun of this thing. And I listened to a couple of podcasts expecting that to be the case, and it was people defending it, it was people loving it, loving the jokes, sort of just, and I had to turn it off. I thought, I can't, I was so angered by the film, I can't even hear people like it, I can't even, that's how much I was offended. I know, I'm sounding like the snobbiest of snobs. But let's get into some other films Taika Waititi has directed. I try and muster up a review for this film, because by the end I like to try and log in a review on my Letterboxd, which I still haven't linked somewhere, but I really should, because I keep saying it's linked, and that is a lie. So, out of these films that he's done, I'm just going to name the ones I've heard of or seen, which is not many. He actually hasn't done a huge amount of films. And it's weird, because I've seen Jojo Rabbit, and I liked it enough. Now, can I actually check what I gave Jojo Rabbit? Because I probably did give it a star rating. I gave it a 3.5, which isn't bad. I think a lot of people would give it even higher. It's average rating by 19,000 fans is a 4. I'm basically there. And I quite enjoyed that. But out of that though, it's probably the only film actually really like. I think Ragnarok's a little overrated, to be honest. Especially going back looking at it, I think it's got some good moments, but I actually do think it's quite overrated. A lot of people have that as their favorite Marvel film. That boggles the mind. But no, I mean, let's see what Thor Ragnarok has as its average rating. 3.7. I just think, but this is Letterboxd, keep bear that in mind. I just think it's very overrated. A lot of people have it as their top three. They have it up there with like, usually people's top three is Ragnarok. Well, that I hear on podcasts and shit. Ragnarok, Winter Soldier, and then like another little personal choice in there. Some people chuck in. Sometimes you'll listen to podcasts and people have like a rogue shout like Doctor Strange, the first one, or typically it'll just be like Avengers, Infinity War, or that's usually the go-to. I've not seen Hunt for the World of People. I've not seen What We Do in the Shadows. Is that a TV show? I think I'm not sure what that is. Maybe a film. I've not seen Next Goal Wins, but this is what I kind of mean. It's like I don't know if I'm ever like another Taika Waititi film again. I don't think he's awful. I think I've seen a lot of like video essay thumbnails. I've not watched any. People kind of going like, the sort of rise and fall of Taika Waititi, or like, Taika Waititi is everywhere. Like, I don't think he is actually everywhere. He's like acting in a couple more things, and he got a couple more films off the back of some other films. And it's not that, I think it's not like people used to say that about like James Corden and stuff. Like, and they show up, yeah, kind of in a few different places here and there, but he's far from being everywhere. It's more just that he has an in your face style. If you don't like it, you're going to notice it a lot more. And when I saw the trailer for Next Goal Wins, I kind of just thought, yeah, I guess I just don't like the style, which is fine. Like, there's probably directors that, again, if we're going to chuck out some hot takes, we're going to chuck out some, because I got awful taste or whatever. What's his name? Kubrick. Like, if I was to look at through Kubrick's discography, I always do that, filmography or whatever. Who cares? There'd be a lot of films that I would just be bored at watching. Like, I'd be in a circle and everyone's talking about their favorite films. Oh yeah, 2001. Oh yeah, it's fucking brilliant. And I'd be sitting there like, yeah, but in my head I'm thinking that was fucking shit. I ain't seen it. I'm just, that's what I'd say. That's what I think I'd say. Is that sometimes a director, it's just not the style. I'm not gonna out and out say the Next Goal Wings is just straight up dog shit, and everything he makes is going to be dog shit. But I think everything he makes, at least in the foreseeable future, is going to be of this kind of style. And I just don't love it. Back onto Ragnarok. No, sorry, no, that would be at least a more enjoyable time. Love and Thunder. I remember seeing it, and like, outside of like first things first, right? Like, outside of like when you buy a game is going to implement features and story beats and elements and like that, and they're all creative choices, and you're either going to like or not like those things. But at the very least, when you buy a game, you want it to be finished. You want it to be a game. You're paying however much money for it as it goes up and up, right? This big next gen console game, whatever it is, right? Like, what was that game that came out recently? Starfield, right? That type of game, a lot of people maybe didn't love it for, it was a bit boring. But it was a game. It's like, if you liked the mechanics and you liked what they were going for, then you liked it. And if you didn't, you didn't. That's just how it is. It's taste and stuff. But like, you don't want to see things like glitches or like, bullshit like that. Just bugs or it crashing all the time. Because that's stuff that's stuff that should be just working, regardless of if the game's good or not. The film, outside of the story, and if I think this joke's unfunny, I guess that's all subjective, right? If I think the film is so unfunny and cringe or like just bad, or if I think the dialogue's awful, it's like, they're just opinions. I'm not a writer, I'm not like a comedian. You can have taste and not be a comedian, but you know what I mean, they're just opinions. But like, visually, I just need, like, outside of everything, when I'm watching it, and like before, it's been a gradual slippery slope, but it's been like, you watch it and you go, things like the background looking so 2D, they're clearly on like a screen, the lighting's not even great. But in this film, it was on a level where nothing needs to be wrong, right? It's just Thor talking to Jane, Chris Hemsworth talking to Natalie Portman on this sort of like pathway in the sky, and they're just talking to each other. And it's just like, close-ups, shot, reverse shot, whatever you call it. I'm trying to act like I know terms. But just sort of like his face to her, cutting back and forth. And I'm watching it and I'm going, what the fuck is up with their faces? Why did their faces look like that? And I don't know now still. I don't know if if they touch up, it didn't look like as bad as like taking the moustache off Henry Cavill. But like I'm watching their faces, and I haven't seen the film since I saw it. It's like a couple years ago now, I guess. But I don't know what I was seeing. I spoke about it. I saw it with my mother, and she doesn't give a fuck about the CGI half the time when I'm annoyed by it. I'm like, oh look shit. It's like I didn't notice. But like even that, I was like, did you notice the faces like within the first half an hour they were talking? It's not when the masks look bad as well because they're all like digitally put on, I guess. But it wasn't even that. Both of their faces just out in the open, and they kind of had this like AI look to them. Not that they had AI, not that AI was used, but it was like uncanny valley type things were going on. The faces were touched up, and it just looked weird, like Mr. Beast thumbnails. Like I don't know what was going on. It was just weird, like needless stuff. And on top of that, it just wasn't like I thought the jokes and stuff. It was just really. It was just. I mean, here's my review. I guess I finally found the words. Review or log. And to be honest, this isn't really a new take. I've heard people say similar things to this before, but it was basically just a bad SNL skit the whole time. It was a bad SNL skit, and I mean that not just in the sense that it was like maybe unfunny jokes that were just going on for way too long and just yep, and it didn't feel like a story. It's just like a connection of skits here to here to here. Like when you see because they have got them skits like Doctor Strange making party balloons or like Thor living at home. Like I've seen like different like skits of the characters before. I don't know if it's SNL or like what it is, but I've seen that stuff. Right? It wasn't just like a bunch of these pieced together. It was even in terms of just how it looked, like how quiet the film was at times, and they're just talking back and forth, and like nothing was, and just these empty silences where you're meant to be laughing, I guess, or like the fact that when you see these skits like Doctor Strange making balloons and stuff and this and that, the costumes don't look as good, and the grading or whatever, the film doesn't look as, because it's just the essence. It was TV or whatever. I'm watching it going like there's this scene where like Thor lands from the Bifrost, and he's like in Jane's back garden or whatever, and he's like standing there and in the costume, and it just looks like, I don't know, like you're watching like ridiculous shit on screen a lot of the time, talking raccoons or CGI trees or just crazy costumes and spandex or whatever it is. But like for my 90% of my time watching these films, whilst watching them, I'm never like, oh, this is like cringe and weird. Why is he wearing that? That looks so embarrassing and lame. But then when I was watching this film, I was like, damn, this costume just looks like a costume. It just looks lame. And then this environment, it looks like he landed on. It looked like they just put up. They painted a wall. Like I don't. He lands in like. I can't even get the words out. I'm just like exhausted talking about it. And I don't even rewatch it for this. It's just thinking about some of the stuff, which is just like, it's like little things that bother me sometimes. Like, and I've shout out to the Weekly Planet, because that's the only other podcast I've heard that this bothers, and I've listened to a lot of people like review Doctor Strange and stuff. Like, why the fuck does Doctor Strange's wig look so shit? Why do they even have him in a wig? And you can get really good wigs sometimes, and you're like, oh, I just thought you grew your hair out for that or whatever. Like most of the characters will at least have some kind of extensions or whatever in their hair, but like Benedict Cumberbatch has hair. He hasn't got. And guess what? He's like 50 probably, or 40, late 40s, early 50s. He's an old geezer. His hairline isn't like, HD cuts, fade on the straightest line. And Doctor Strange is probably of a similar age. I don't know why they feel the need. No, Doctor Strange has to have like the straightest of hairlines, and he has to have this stupid wig that looks like a Lego piece put on his hair, and the white bits on the side. You could just add extensions to Benedict Cumberbatch's hair, or get him to, and it will look like in the first Doctor Strange film. He definitely has a wig on, or he has implanted connected things to his hair or whatever. But it looks miles better than the fucking cap they put on him in Multiverse of Madness. And it's just these things on a surface level. It's like, these are just surface level things that are just like lazy or just not great looking. And then it's like all the stuff that's beneath the actual film, and the plot holes or like the jokes. It's just like, oh god. Oh, I think this is the worst film. Well, I don't know. It just gives me, and this is why films that make me feel nothing, I can't say I prefer. Like people, no, people say I'm so sick of repeating this, but people always say a film that makes me feel nothing. They did The Cardinal Sin. At least a film I don't like made me feel something. You can't do anything worse than just making me feel nothing. For me, that's not true because I'm getting a headache. Right now, I actually feel hot. And I feel like my head is pounding talking about Thor Love and Thunder. And that's not healthy. That's not right. I should speak. This is bad. But yeah, let me log my review. There, box link somewhere. Thor Love and Thunder, 29th of February. A bad SNL skit. Save. That's the review. Actually, we usually will read like 3 other reviews as well. This one, first one, 24 frames of Nick. Great first draft. Excited to see where it's finished. There we go. 2.5 stars he gave it. Is that what I gave it? No, I gave it 1. Sorry, no. The average is 2.5. So he's submitting to that. Great first draft. Excited to see where it finishes. Yeah, the film don't look finished, but I couldn't even say it's a great first draft. If I'm sitting there watching that, thinking, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. The finishing touches, that'll be a great film. No, bad first draft, and it's unfinished. Next one says Christian took the money and bailed. Good pun. Disagree though. I don't think he was like copping out. I think Christian Bale's like trying. He's like having a fun time. He's like, this is different. I've not done a film like this before. And you know what? I saw him talking on press and stuff on the carpet afterwards. I like that. You know, it's just like, yeah, this was the one thing. I just tried it. Cool. Kids love it. Maybe I don't know if he's even got kids, but you know, good paycheck as well. Like films like American Psycho that really iconic or whatever. Apparently Christian Bale, because he wanted to do it so badly and because they didn't want him to do it, he got paid like the minimum of like, I don't know what it was at the time, like 50, 60 grand maybe, for the film. So you can do the iconic films and the great ones and the ones that get acclaim. Obviously the money ain't always as good or whatever earlier in his career still, but I saw the villain, the guy who plays the villain in Black Widow, being like, "Oh, honestly, it was soul destroying filming that film. They kept wanting me to tone it down. Oh, honestly, I kept wanting to quit, but I was tied in by contract." Like sometimes you see these Marvel like superhero people in general, right, complaining and stuff, and it's like you filmed the film for like a month and a half at most, mate, and you had to do a couple reshoots. Soul destroying. I was locked in via contract. You got like a healthy pay to like do, and you know what you're signing up for. When these people sign up for these Marvel films, that there isn't 25 prior that you can see, and then they go and do it, and they act like it was the worst experience in the world and stuff. It's like you got paid for it. They probably treated you pretty well, and you just hear fucking complaining. Oh, it's fucking awful. You feel like you're not even acting. It's just green screen bullshit. It's like, what the fuck are you complaining about? It was genuinely probably 34 days of your life. Like he's not even in it that much. Oh god, it's just like fuck off. And like this is coming from someone who's just shat on Thor: Love and Thunder this whole time, but still it's like, and even I'm saying that is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. This review just says mid. Is there any like long one? Not long, but like sound a little bit more wordy. Couldn't even watch the whole movie. It's boring and tries too hard to be funny. Only good part was the villain, and it wasn't even that good. Pretty much agree with that. But yeah, can't say. I feel like this is my coldest of takes. All those reviews seemed in unison. I actually need like a warm towel or like a cold towel even on my forehead right now because I've actually worked myself up and it's not healthy. Thor: Love and Thunder. Thank you for existing because I could then talk about hating it. Pod a day 354. Thanks. See you in the next one.